Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jay Rich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Good morning, 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 good people. It is Monday, February the 13th, 2023, and I appreciate y'all being here in the building. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with myself and Jay Rich post Super Bowl. Let's get it, baby. Who we got in the building? We got Dope Walker, Clay, Pello, Jeff in the building. Chris, what's up with you? Rico Stone, David from across the pond. Dynasty Barry in the building. Oliver, Ty Rush, George, Top Dog, Lindsey Mack, my girl. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. And shout out to my man, Fizzle Dollars, for the intro song. But we got to get to the show. Post Super Bowl Wake Up Show, brought to you by PrizePicks. Use the promo code Wake Up. Get in on some of that good over-under action over there over on PrizePicks. And today I had a long night. I got to start the show off with a cup of Michelle Adoro coffee, man. Go get you some of that. Jay, I need to get another order, actually. I'm running low. I got like one box of pods left, so we need to get another box of that. It's tasting good. So go to MichelleAdoroUSA.com. Use the promo code WAKEUP for 15% off. We got a lot of sponsorships and partnerships, but I ain't bullshitting you when it comes to this coffee. It is delicioso. It is delicious. It's good. And I know some people in the show, they're Michelle Adoro truthers now, and they can tell you themselves firsthand how damn good that coffee is. Jay, man, last night was a show, my friend. Let me get this off the screen. All right. Last night was a good show, a good script from the old NFL. It was very close to finishing at that 37-34 script number that had leaked. So say what you want about the league, but they did a good job last night. Jay, how you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm good, man. It was a great Super Bowl. Two historic performances for a lot of reasons from both quarterbacks. Arizona, man, we have the Super Bowl in Arizona every year. It seems like whenever it's in Arizona, outside of the small, maybe not so small turf issues, everything else was pretty good in that game. So I was pretty happy with the outcome. I did have the under though, so that wasn't so fun. But for football fans and casual fans, a lot of points is always good. So can't be too upset about that.
What'd you do for the Super Bowl, man? Did you do anything special? What'd you have to eat? Like, what's your Super Bowl routine? What'd you do? Oh
man, I don't even really have one. We had some nachos. We had I had these really brownies that had bananas in them. This woman brought them to our little Super Bowl party. Those were really good. I don't know how she made them.
You don't know her name?
My mom's cousin's girlfriend. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to reveal her name, but yeah, they were really good. Outside of that, no real traditions for us. We do wings sometimes. Sometimes we switch up with nachos. My dad made chili, which I love. But no restrictions of my own. Just watched it with the fam. That was it. Just happy we had a good game, honestly.
Yeah, it was good. I had Eugene from Off the Line Fantasy. He and his wife, who were expecting, they've come over the last like 3 or 4 Super Bowls, and
nice.
Real small thing, but man, smoked brisket. The brisket was. Jay, I tweeted out a picture of it. The smoke ring.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's very, very good. I'm very proud of my brisket down here in Texas. But no, it was a good one, man. I thought it was one of the better Super Bowls that we've seen in a while. Even though last year's was pretty good as well with the Bengals and the Rams, but mixed on top of the Super Bowl, which we'll get to the Super Bowl game. We'll spend a bulk of the show on that. There was a lot of things that had happened leading up to the Super Bowl, just in the NFL in general, that have sort of shaped the path of the offseason. So I definitely want to get to that. So where do you want to start before we spend, like I said, majority of the show basking in the greatness that is Patrick Mahomes? Where do you kind of want to start from a news perspective that we didn't get a chance to really dive into? You know, we don't do the show on Friday. And apologies, didn't I tell y'all on Wednesday that my power was going to go out and the shit went out as expected at the end of the show. So where do you want to start with just what's going on in the NFL as we approach the offseason?
Well, I think the best part for us is that the head coaching searches are pretty much over at this point. The Philadelphia Eagles OC, Shane Steichen, is going to be the new head coach for the Colts. That should be finalized today. The Texans hired the 49ers passing game coordinator, so DeMeco Ryans getting one of his guys to bring that Shanahan offense over to Houston, so a bit more clarity for us in fantasy over there. Vic Fangio was hired to be the DC of the Dolphins.
Hold on. Let's take it a little slow.
You want to touch on all of them?
Yeah,
okay.
let's touch on it. Okay, so Texans have hired the 49ers passing game coordinator, okay? So DeMeco comes from the 49ers. They're hiring the 49ers passing game coordinator. This signals to me that all signs point to Houston getting a quarterback early, right? Whether that be Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. But I've been tweeting out, it also sort of, what would you think about, and it's a theory I've been tossing around inside our Discord, DeMeco, who did he get to see as the defensive coordinator every day in practice over the summer, every day in practice over his first season? There's a quarterback in San Francisco that he got to see a lot of. And what it seems like to me, this is just my opinion, gauging the situation, gauging what all the other players in San Francisco are saying, based on what the fucking owner said at the NFL Honors, which I don't think we touched on NFL Honors either, so we need to get into that. But it seems like they want Brock Purdy to be the quarterback. That's just, listen, Jay,
Yep.
From what have I been saying on this show, on Twitter, from the moment San Francisco traded those picks to move up to number 3, what had I been saying the entire time?
They wanted Mac Jones.
I will go to my grave believing that. You can hate the take, whatever you want, but I've been pretty consistent saying I believe that when they traded all that capital to move up to number 3 in the 2021 NFL draft, they wanted Mac Jones, right? And I continue to say, I think Kyle Shanahan, that's the type of quarterback that he wanted. And what did they stumble into? Like the cheapest version of Mac Jones that you probably can find in Brock Purdy. So with the Texans hiring DeMeco Ryans as their head coach, their passing game coordinator as their OC, is there any world you think where San Francisco would trade Trey Lance out of the division, out of the conference, trade him to the desolate wasteland that is Houston, and DeMeco Ryans gets to pair up somebody that he's got a relationship with, or at least familiarity with, to run his offense?
I think there's a world, yes, but it still feels like an improbable situation. Only because of how cap-friendly Trey Lance's deal is for the next 2 years, right? Or at least for the next year for sure, because they do have his 5th-year option coming up the following season. So to get rid of him this year, knowing that Brock Purdy potentially could be sidelined longer than the initial 6-month timeline, it still feels like a long shot. But to your point, if they're willing to pay up, and, DeMeco got a 6-year contract, so he's not necessarily going to have to get it all done his first season.
No.
But like you said, there's the familiarity there, bringing in the passing game coordinator. They brought it up in the comments. The boombox guy, I believe he's the director of player personnel. They brought him over as well. So another,
guy. That's it.
Right? So another guy. Right? They didn't get Cliff Kingsbury, thank God. So that was a dodged bullet from everybody in fantasy world. So, I mean, I think to your point, there is a chance. There's always a chance because of that familiarity, because of that relationship. And we've seen DeMeco, and we've seen a lot of coaches do this. They bring in guys they know, that they trust, into their offenses, into their rooms and stuff like that. And if they bring in Lance, I wouldn't be shocked, but I still think it's a long shot because there is so much luxury for the 49ers to keep Trey Lance.
I'm just theorying here. I'm not saying that is the right move. I'm just wondering if you're Houston, right? Let's just say it would be a 2nd round pick. That's what he would cost. Say it was their first 2nd round pick in this draft. That would allow DeMeco Ryans at number 2 overall, or if he trades back to, let's say he stays at 2, to take his what helped make that defense tick in San Francisco? Nick Bosa,
the edge,
right?
Yeah.
The edge. That would allow Houston to trade for a quarterback with the 2nd, which you're not going to draft a quarterback in this draft or next year's draft in the 2nd that has better talent, tools, and traits than Trey Lance. Yeah. It would allow them to draft their Nick Bosa, a.k.a. Will Anderson, at number 2 overall, or maybe they want Jalen Carter for the interior, still add a weapon at 12 and at wide receiver, and then you essentially get Lance on the, I'm not saying the final year of a rookie deal, but year 3 of a rookie deal to see, could we potentially snag a full-time guy here, with a 2nd round pick? So it would be nice, right? If San Francisco really doesn't want him to be the quarterback, or they're really pushing for Brock Purdy to be their guy, then, I don't think they would trade him, because look at San Francisco quarterbacks always get hurt in this Kyle Shanahan offense. So you need some security or backup in case something does happen to Brock or he's not ready to go. But just throwing out a theory that there's a lot of 49ers similarities and commonalities in Houston right now, and there is no quarterback. So it would be interesting to see if that were to play out and come to fruition.
So then, Ray, why aren't you talking about Jimmy G then? Jimmy G's a free agent. He's familiar with the system.
Yeah,
he knows how to run it.
Yeah.
He could be a little quarterback in Houston.
Because Houston's not a Jimmy G away. Like, they're not a Jimmy G away. So I'm not going to put a lot into Jimmy G right now when they're not a Jimmy Garoppolo away. Like, this is a young team. I don't think DeMeco Ryans has any expectation or pressure to turn this thing around in a year or even two. So you just continue to load up on talent and try to steal a quarterback for the low. But that's just my galaxy brain in this one. I don't have any. I want to see Trey get a shot. I do think that they want Brock Purdy to be the guy. Like, I'm just, based on everything, just my summation of the situation, I believe they want him to be the guy. Whether that is what we want in fantasy land or not, you got George Kittle coming out there stumping for him, Deebo Samuel coming out there stumping for him. Again, the owner of the team during the NFL honors. It's just, even Trey Lance in his interview came out and said that he fully expects a battle. Like, he does not think that, he doesn't even believe that he's going to be outright handed the job. He talked about that in the interview with Rich Eisen. So just my opinion, I think they want Brock Purdy to be the guy. We may not like that for fantasy football purposes, but that, at one point, Jay, people didn't like Jalen Hurts as the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles for fantasy purposes. So you touched on Vic Fangio. He was hired to be the defensive coordinator for the Dolphins. It also came out that he signed a 2-week deal with the Philadelphia Eagles to help prepare for this Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I don't think he did it for free. How much you think he got? I talked to Eugene yesterday.
I'm sure it was a lot.
How much you think he got paid for 2 weeks of work to help them lose?
$200K.
Shit, I said like 500. Like 2 weeks? I mean, that's kind of wild, man. He got paid I don't know what he got paid, but he didn't do it for free. I promise you that. He wasn't out there for 2 weeks doing it for free. Derek Carr. Let's talk about the Derek Carr situation, Jay, because there's a lot of speculation about old Carr being traded from the Raiders to the Saints, but there was a no-trade clause. Derek Carr had to approve it. If a trade didn't get done, the Raiders are going to have to cut him and eat a bunch of dead cap money. And what did Derek Carr do to the Raiders? Did he give the Raiders help them out at all? Did he give them a good parting gift? What did old Derek Carr do to the Raiders?
Derek Carr pretty much did what they did to him, and he kicked them to the curb, and he said, too bad, so sad, I'm not going to the Saints, because the Saints wanted him to take a pay cut, obviously, because they have to do some work on their end for the cap. He decided that he didn't want to accept that trade. He's not going to accept the trade. So I don't know when his final deadline is. It's sometime in February, because he never moved that deadline back. So the Raiders will be cutting him. He'll have a suitor, and I think he's just betting on himself at this point, hoping he can get a pretty good deal. Doesn't seem like that's necessarily going to be the case, though. The Panthers are saying they're interested. I'm sure the Saints are still interested to some degree. But yeah, he is not doing the Raiders any favors on the way out. They kicked him out, and so he's making sure that they pay the utmost price on the way out. Mr. Derek Carr is not helping out the Raiders. It's crazy, man. Like, a few years ago, he was like, oh, I want to be a Raider for life, this and that. Josh McDaniels comes in and says, nah, we're good. We'll see you later. But that whole situation is really just, talk about a dumpster fire. A couple weeks for Carr, and what ended up happening with him now, not going to the Saints, which seemed like a pretty decent fit for them. It's unfortunate, man, but it's the NFL, it's a business, and he got a pretty ridiculous contract, so it's not entirely surprising to see.
Carr to the Saints, how do you feel about it?
I actually liked it. I was talking to my buddy who's a big Saints fan. People are going to say, well, the wide receivers still aren't good, but I think you bring in a competent quarterback who can deliver the ball. The offensive line needs to be better. It wasn't healthy. If it is healthy, I think there's a real shot that it could be a pretty good team. And the biggest thing is, like, could Carr win you that division? And the answer is yes. Say what you want about Carr as a quarterback. He could win you that division, and I think that's what they're looking for if they do want to bring him in. Are they Superbowl bound? Probably not, but I think he could pretty easily muster up a 10-win season and win that division for them.
I agree. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with no Tom Brady and no quarterback, The Panthers with the new head coach and probably a young quarterback. I like their outlook for the future. I'm very bullish on Carolina in the future. Who else is in that division? The Falcons?
Yep. Falcons, we'll see. Quarterback's still shaky, but I'm liking the direction they're headed. And I think they're headed the right direction with Arthur Smith. But it's the quarterback that we really don't know.
And it seems like there were some reports coming out of Atlanta that they're content, or they're saying that they're excited to see what Desmond Ridder can do in year 2. So This is definitely a division where I think with Carr on the Saints, it's definitely an upgrade over PFF's top 5 quarterback, Andy Dalton. I definitely think Derek Carr is an upgrade over anybody that they have in the building. So he is what he is, sure. And it would be a good move for the Saints to at least be competitive. So another quarterback in the news, Aaron Rodgers, again, remains as plan A for the Jets. So we're just keeping that on the forefront. We'll learn. The ball is in Aaron Rodgers' court right now. He controls what he wants to. If he wants to play, he's going to be traded. If he doesn't want to play, then he'll ride off into the sunset. But it does look like the Jets are still his top target. Lamar Jackson. Let's talk Lamar for a few minutes, man. Lamar Jackson, Ravens are expected to use the exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson, which will hit them for about $45 million. Eric's GM, Eric DaCosta, response when asked about signing a wide receiver 1. Here was his response. Honestly, when you have a big ticket item at quarterback, it makes it more challenging, not impossible.
Not good. Doesn't sound like he wants to, right? When you really think about it. I mean, we've seen the benefits. A.J. Brown is the template. T. Higgins is the option, Ray. Can we make it happen? Can we sign Lamar Jackson? And can we bring in T. Higgins to Baltimore? Not that, I really want to see T. Higgins go there. But this is the template. We've seen this be successful. They went to the Super Bowl, and it worked, and the offense thrived, and they made it happen. But, Ray, you know what's funny? $45 million for Lamar Jackson? Not bad. Not bad. Lamar Jackson wouldn't be happy about that. But if you're theRavens, and he plays, but I don't think he plays. Not when he wants 230, right? Not when he wants Watson.
That's the question. Does he play on that, man? And no
way.
No way he plays. But what leverage does Lamar have? What leverage does he have? If he doesn't play and accrue a season, can't they turn around next year and tag his ass again?
They can, but the problem too is that when they tag him, I think he has to sign or he holds out, and then there's the whole issue of the cap, right? And does that affect their cap? Because when he doesn't sign and they have that franchise tag allocated for him, that money is tied up until he ultimately signs or doesn't. So that's part of the problem too, is once he's tagged, he doesn't have to sign, but that money and that flexibility for them with the cap is now locked in.
But Lamar doesn't care about
for
that.
Him.
If he's not going to play, what does he give a shit for, right? Oh, your money's tied up, but I'm not going to play. You guys have been tying up my money for, the 2 years now, a year now, or whatever the case may be. So it just feels like this is going to get messy, man. I know everyone's like, oh, they're just going to bring him back and it's going to be kumbaya. They're still talking about
it's never been that way.
60, 70, $100 million apart. Like Lamar turned down a big deal. Like he wants Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson money with more guaranteed. And my question to you, Jay, does he deserve that? Does Lamar Jackson deserve to be paid what he wants to be paid based on the body of work that he's done so far in his career?
I honestly don't think so. I think he's asking for too much money. Yeah.
Really?
And I don't, I get why he wants his money and I understand it. And, I don't fully understand how it works financially. Obviously he's got to be ahead of the next guy and you don't want to be behind them, all that kind of stuff. But part of me just feels like a lot of NFL owners are seeing some of these contracts and are just like, yeah, maybe we're kind of off the beaten path with some of these guys. And Lamar's biggest, for all the talent he has, as phenomenal as he is, his biggest problem is that he hasn't been healthy. And so if you're a GM and you love Lamar Jackson, it's like, okay, dude, we really like you. We think you're a phenomenal quarterback, but you're asking us for $230, $240, $250 million, and you've played 12 games for each of the last 2 seasons for us. You know what I'm saying? I understand everyone's point about the talent and all that, but there's the $100 million disparity, and that was kind of debunked in the past few days by one of the reporters out of Baltimore. And I don't think it's that wide, but if they're offering him 200 and he wants 230 or 240, I get why you want that money, but at the same time, I don't know that Watson's worth it, and I don't know if he's worth it.
What did Russ get guaranteed? Just curious. What did Russ get?
I think it was like 160.
Was it 160? And for me,
Russ and Murray, I think, were around like the 160, 170 range. Now, Russ's total contract was 242, but the guaranteed at signing was 161. Yeah, for Russ.
He's worth more than Russell Wilson, man.
Absolutely.
He should be paid more than Russ. I think he should be paid more than Kyler Murray.
But does he eclipse that 200 million guaranteed, 220 million guaranteed? Like that's where you're looking at some of these contracts and you're saying, I don't know if he deserves that much money, but we know that's what he wants. And so if the Ravens really offered him 5 years, $250 million, $200 million guaranteed, is he really going to turn that contract down because there's not 230 million guaranteed or 250 million in guaranteed?
I can't.
That's what I don't know. That's what I don't know. So I'm curious if he's kind of asking for too much money.
You never count another man's pockets, so I'll never do and be like, oh, that's enough. But that seems like an equitable deal for Lamar Jackson. And if he plays through that contract, he'll get another bag. Like if he plays through that contract, he'll get another bag at age 30, 31, however old he'll be. He'll get another bag. So it just doesn't seem to be going down a good path. And as the weeks progress, even before the NFL draft, I think this saga and this situation is even more intriguing. Now, you did talk about Jimmy Garoppolo really quickly, and he'll have some interest from the Jets, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Raiders, the Titans, and the Texans, apparently. And my Dallas Cowboys, they got a gift, unfortunately, for Tony Pollard getting hurt. They're able to put a franchise tag on him. So I fully expect Dallas. Jay Rich's internet is out. Jay Rich is out. His internet was tripping, y'all. I fully expect Dallas to move on with Tony Pollard as their starting running back. And I've been talking about it for months. I think they're going to draft a guy in the NFL draft, whether that be, I don't know, I'm seeing mocks with Devon Achane, Zach Charbonnet, Zach Evans, a whole bunch of different mocks, but they're going to draft a guy. They are 1,000% going to draft a guy in Dallas. Now, I would say from a dynasty perspective, we're talking a lot of NFL stuff. I'd stash Malik Davis. If Malik Davis is out there on your waivers, I would stash Malik Davis. I think he showed enough to maybe stay on the field and get some opportunity if they do move on from Ezekiel Elliott and the running back that they drafted in 2023. It's like later 4th, 5th round pick. I don't know, Leo. I don't want them to restructure Zeke at all. Like I think we all prefer Zeke to move on from Dallas. Yes, Jay Peters, Kenny McIntosh would be, give me any of those guys, and all of them will be very coveted for us in Dynasty if they are, in fact, selected by Dallas. So what else do we have? We talked a little bit about Brock Purdy, and potentially he's got to have a 9-month surgery. I don't freaking know what they're going to do with him. But again, like I talked about at the top of the show, I do believe, based on just the limited information that we think or we're hearing or we're seeing, and somebody asked where that interview was or the audio. It was an interview at the Super Bowl with Rich Eisen. It was about 4.5 minutes. It was phenomenal. I thought Trey Lance did a great job in that interview, but that's the interview where he said out of his own mouth, he does not expect the job to be handed to him. He fully expects a battle. Brock Purdy, what he did was phenomenal. He said all the right things and really conducted himself like a pro. So if you haven't taken 5 minutes to watch that, go on Twitter, go on YouTube, go on Google and type in Rich Eisen, Trey Lance interview, and you'll find it right there. So we'll see how that plays out. It's going to, this, even more so than the NFL draft, free agency this is going to be fun because there's going to be a lot of movement and changes from players that we can play the game. So it'll be fun to watch that. Jay Rich is trying to get back in the show. I don't know. His internet went out. So let's try to get Jay back in. Jay, are you back? You've been choppy the whole show. You good, baby?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there because it just booted me out. Yeah, just booted me out of nowhere.
Just gave you the boot. Andrew said, "How do you feel about stashing Tyler Huntley?"
Yeah,
I don't think he's out there he's been stashed all year.
That's true.
So sure, but he's been stashed all season long. All right, let's get to the Super Bowl because there was a lot of shit happening inside of this game that was very interesting, and I think there's some takeaways as we move forward. So let's just start with the obvious, man. Kansas City, their second Super Bowl title in 4 years. Patrick Mahomes has been the starter for 5 years, Jay, and he's been to 5 straight AFC title games. All those games have been at home. He's won 2 NFL MVPs. He's won, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He's set the record
and
for the most.
Been to 3.
Set the record for the most passing yards in an individual season this past year. He did it without having a wide receiver go for over 1,000 yards on the season. Juju Smith-Schuster was really close, but no receiver going over 1,000 yards. Hodgepodge of characters out there. MVS, Juju. Jay, if I told you last night, here were going to be the touchdown scorers for the Chiefs, what would you think about Travis Kelsey? You'd be like, of course, yeah. Sky Moore.
Okay.
Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe.
Starting running back. All right.
Kadarius Toney.
A little redemption story for Mr. Tony. I like it.
And Nick Bolton. That's who scored.
Yeah, Nick Bolton.
Nick Bolton, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Isaiah Pacheco, and then, of course, Travis. At this point, man, like, honestly, I don't care about tools and traits. I don't care about talent. I don't care about. He is in a tier of his own.
He's underpaid, too.
He's in a tier of his own. Patrick Mahomes is a top quarterback if he retires right now of all time. If he retires today.
Top 5. He's a top 5 quarterback without question. He's only one of 5 quarterbacks with 2 MVPs and 2 Super Bowls, right? I believe it's like him, Joe Montana, Steve Young. There's one other quarterback, not Kurt Warner. Tom Brady, obviously. I forget. There's 5 of them, though, and they're all good quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes is one of them. And like you mentioned, he's been to 3 Super Bowls, 2 MVPs, and then I think the other thing, he broke the curse of the double MVP season.
Double MVP.
Previous 9, if you won the NFL MVP, you didn't win the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes broke that curse. There's nothing more to say about it. Oh, yeah, Peyton Manning's one of them as well. Nothing more to say about Patrick Mahomes other than he's the best quarterback of his generation. And I said it on the other show, Ray, and I truly believe this. He's legitimately the Steph Curry of his generation. If you want to say Tom Brady's like LeBron James, Joe Montana is, like Michael Jordan, Patrick Mahomes is Steph Curry. He just is. And he's the best player in football. It's not even close. But I don't know if you want to get to the Eagles yet.
Not yet. We're going to spend some time talking about the champs. Let's spend some time talking because the Eagles deserve a shit ton of credit, man. I thought they played a phenomenal game, but Kansas City, it just felt like at no point in time did it feel like they were out of it. We got to the halftime, man, and I was like, have they even been on the field? I think Mahomes was
3 possessions, I think. He's on the field for less time than Rihanna was. I'm pretty sure was like the crazy stat. He was on the field for less time than Rihanna because of the Nick Bolton touchdown, and the Eagles had 2 long drives in between that touchdown.
He had 12 pass attempts in the first half, and they were down, and it didn't feel like the Kansas City, their path to get here, man. Listen, the first playoff game that they had to play in versus Jacksonville, Mahomes suffers a high ankle sprain. Yep. Goes out of the game. They bring in Henne, and Jacksonville is right there. It was like, man, are the Chiefs going to get through this game? And even if they get through, there's no way they could beat Buffalo or Cincinnati with a hobbled Patrick Mahomes. They find a way to get the job done versus Jacksonville. Then they go up against their Achilles heel, essentially, in the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals had owned them over the last 3 games over a calendar year. And you can say what you want about calls and this and that. They found a way to get that job done, right? And then here in the Super Bowl, it felt like in the first half, Philly dominated that game. It felt like they dominated that football game. But then you look up and you're like, man, they're right there. Kansas City's been hanging around. Next thing you know, they got the ball, the final drive, 38-35. They win it again. And it's just... It almost even, and I'm sure there was jubilation in the locker room, but I was watching him and Travis Kelsey after the clock struck 0, after Hurts I know he slipped, but what a horrible Hail Mary pass at the end. I mean, that thing went about 25 yards in the air from old Hurts. I know he slipped, but it just seemed like they were just like, all right, we did it again. It wasn't, at least in that quick moment, man, after the game's just ended, it was like, fuck, we made it through. And I'm pretty sure here in the next 15 minutes, Mahomes will be getting surgery, right? We'll be hearing about his high ankle sprain surgery.
His tightrope surgery or something.
dude, hats off to Kansas. Like, this is, I'm not going to call him dynasty, but I agree with you. I think he is.
3 Super Bowls in 4 years, winning 2 of them. It's pretty, like you said, 5 straight AFC championships. And Ray, in a lot of ways, this is more impressive than the first one. Everyone thought when they traded Tyreek Hill, oh, there's no way. There's no way. They can't. How? And I said it on this show plenty of times. I don't know how he's going to get it done. I was wrong, man. I have to admit, way wrong. He got it done because he's the best quarterback in football. And, say what you want about the team and the construction. As long as you have Mahomes, you have a chance. We've said this about Brady for years. As long as you have Brady, you have a chance. This is literally what Mahomes is showing you. As long as they have Mahomes, they have a chance.
They don't even have a chance. They should just be the favorite. They should just be the favorite every time with him at. I don't know if he's my generation's GOAT because I did watch Tom Brady. I got to experience that whole ride, right? From start to finish. And I don't think what Tom Brady was able to do will ever be duplicated or just from a sense of longevity. It's almost like LeBron. Like, they say records are meant to be broken, and who's to say Mahomes can't play? How many years did Brady play? 21 seasons in the NFL?
I think 22.
22
this is his
seasons?
22nd. 2000 all the way till
Who knows if Mahomes even wants to do that? I mean, that's insane. He's only got 5 years. Imagine him playing another, 17 years in football and being pretty good for 17 more years. But what he's doing for this current generation, all I'll say is appreciate this level of greatness because Jay, I know this may sound crazy. I don't even know if he's in his prime yet, like peak Mahomes. I don't know, man. Like it's scary to think about how much better he could be because he's already so good. I don't know if he's peak prime Mahomes yet.
Yeah, and what's funny is I think when it's all said and done, this may go down as his flu game, right? With the high ankle sprain, overcoming the nearly unstoppable Eagles, best offense in football, revamped young roster, great defense, and what it didn't matter. Didn't matter because Mahomes is he's just special, man. He's just absolutely phenomenal.
Well, let's talk about the other quarterback really quickly. Let's start with the 2 quarterbacks because both of them were phenomenal. Jalen Hurts, my goodness. He's their guy. He's their guy, Jay. He's their guy, and he is the guy. We continue to ask this question, how many quarterbacks would you take over Jalen Hurts? Who from the 2020 class? And every time we do that exercise, you put Jalen Hurts at 3. You always put Burrow and Herbert ahead of Jalen Hurts. And I'm like, nah, I think it's Burrow, Hurts, Herbert. Would you change your tune on that today? Would you still, if you were an NFL GM, you would take those 2 quarterbacks from that 2020 class over Jalen Hurts still?
Yeah, I would. But I do think that, to your point, this offense is built perfectly for Jalen Hurts. Suits his skill set super well. And I think a lot of the same things that could be said about Burrow. Herbert, we'll see what ends up happening with him. I still love the tools, the traits, the talent. But all 3 guys are just head and shoulders above Tua, and that really sucks to be Tua in this situation. But Hurts deserves every dollar he's going to get. Dude was phenomenal in the Super Bowl. And honestly, Ray, can't say enough about his ball placement in this Super Bowl. Countless times, this dude put it where only his guy could get it. And he knew his guy would get it. I mean, most of the time that was Dallas Goedert. There was a couple of other really good throws to A.J. Brown.
Devontae
Smith. Like, there were some close ones. Some ones that got turned up, they overturned. Some that didn't. Smitty didn't get away with this one in the Super Bowl. But it's crazy to see his development as a passer because, there was a lot of concerns about him as a passer at Alabama. At Oklahoma, he obviously improved. Going to the NFL, improved a lot more. And now his ball placement looks up to par with just about anybody in the NFL. But when you have one of the best offensive lines, that helps a ton. But honestly, his ball placement in that Super Bowl was by far probably the most impressive I've seen him in an NFL game so far.
Oh, boy. Matt LaSalle, appreciate you being here, Matt. But, man, what a rough take to have this morning when you have the best offensive line and a top 3 wide receiver core. It's impossible to fail. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. He's lifted up by everyone around him, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. what a bold take to have after he played. I mean, what else do you want him to do? I mean, he went 16-1 as the starter this year. I don't really know what to. Jay, I'm in a good mood, so I'm not about to just go ape shit on this one. But what leads you to believe he's not a good quarterback?
I don't know, man. I mean, you look at what he did in the Super Bowl amongst quarterbacks, the most attempts rushing the ball, most yards after contact, most first down and TD conversions with 10, most yards from 10 yards or more, with 53, first down TD conversion, 66.7%. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And he still threw the ball accurately as hell. He was toe-to-toe with Mahomes, had more yards than him. Like I mentioned, just the big-time throws, probably had 5 in that game alone. Most of them were to Dallas Goedert, but yeah, it's definitely not his fault they lost. It's just the defense, man. It's the defense. That defense was not good. It's
interesting because neither of the defenses could do a damn thing in that game. Kansas City couldn't stop Philly, and Philly couldn't stop Kansas City. Hassan Reddick all over Brock Purdy. I don't know where he was last night.
Not a single sack, man. Zero
in the game.
0 on Mahomes.
Zero on Hurts.
Sacks.
0
No, he
sacks?
got 2.
Oh, he got sacked twice?
Because one was the fumble.
One was the fumble. And then did they count one of the ones where he ran out of bounds as a sack behind the line of
scrimmage? Yeah, it was negative yards, right?
Negative yards. That's weak. That's not a real sack. But neither
he was
here nor
forced,
there.
Right? Forced out of bounds, kind of, by the defender.
I think it was a design run, and he just went sideways. But point is, I thought Jalen Hurts was incredible that game. The ball to Dallas Goedert, the ball to A.J. Brown. And that's what you do. You surround your young quarterback with weapons. What does Joe Burrow have in Cincinnati? A shit ton of weapons, and he thrives. And there are only a handful of quarterbacks who can make it happen without those guys. I think Mahomes, Tom Brady have been the only two that I've seen turn nothing into something. So when you're looking at Jalen Hurts and his outlook in Dynasty, Jay, where would you draft him amongst the quarterbacks? Patrick Mahomes 101? Patrick Mahomes 101?
Yeah.
Superflex? Okay.
Yeah.
After that, you've got a cluster of Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Herbert. How would you go? What would you do?
I think you make the case for him at 3. I don't know if would you take him over Allen? That's really I think you could easily take him over Burrow and Herbert. Again, for fantasy, 100% get it, right? The rushing upside is just immense for him. But the question is, would you take him over Allen? I might.
Would you do that? That's really the question. Would you take Hurts over Josh Allen for fantasy?
I don't hate it. I don't know if I would, but I don't hate it. I think that's the conversation. Is 2 or 3 comfortable taking him ahead of Burrow or Herbert again for fantasy? So I think that's the conversation. I think you could easily cement him at 3. Would you put him at 2? I don't hate the take. If you really love Jalen Hurts, I mean, I drafted Jalen Hurts in one of our most important leagues. Best value this offseason by far, quarterback. But yeah, I think that you could make the case for sure if you wanted to do that. And, like you said, he's got Smitty for 3 more years, has A.J. Brown for 4 more years.
They'll keep those two together.
There's literally no reason not to.
And even when Jason Kelsey, if he decides to hang it up, and I know there were some questions about him coming back this season or not, but they got Cam Jurgens that'll be coming in. You got Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson getting a little long in the tooth. They'll have to figure something out over there. But with the bevy of picks that they have and the ability of Howie Roseman to manipulate the draft in way. Did you see? I don't know what's the kid's name from Player Profiler, but during the Super Bowl interviews, he talked to Howie Roseman, and his question was, he said, hey, Howie, how is it that you continue to fleece and ski mask the New Orleans Saints every year in the draft and always get advantage over other owners? And Howie was like, no, I'm good friends with the Saints. These are fair deals. He was like, I'm not going to do that. But the question was it was hilarious because it was just like, how do you keep screwing over these teams during the draft with your trades? And Howie was just like, no, we're not going to do that. Those are my friends. And I'm just like, good fucking question, man. Jalen Hurts, what's he get? I said 4 for 200 fully guaranteed. 4 for 200.
I think he'd get 5 for 200. But I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get like.
He's getting more than $40 million a year, easy. They've already come out and said 50. They know he's looking at about 50. It's not getting. If Daniel Jones is being talked about in that 35 to 37 range, there's no way Hurts is getting 40 a year. I'm saying 4 for 200, fully guaranteed for Jalen Hurts. 4 for 200.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, that's fine. I got no problem with it. I don't know why the Eagles have a problem with it, right? But I think his contract kicks in, what, this season? Or next season?
Who?
How many more years? Hurts' contract.
Oh,
let me look at his contract. It might be coming to roost right now.
No, it is coming. It's going to roost. It is going to roost here in the next couple of months, man. It's going to roost very soon. I'm saying 4 for 200 for Jalen Hurts, man. 4 for 200 for Hurts. Can we talk?
Yeah, I was gonna say Sportrack market value is $44 million right now.
Yeah, he's getting 50.
That's his calculated market. So he might get 50, yeah, to your point.
He's getting 50. He's getting 50. Really quickly, Travis Kelsey, greatest tight end of all time?
Ooh. Should be. I'm not going to say he is yet, but should be.
He will be.
Because he needs, what, one more title to pass Gronk?
One more, like, NFL title?
Oh, he might need more than that.
Nah, I think Gronk's got 4 of those bad boys.
He might have, he might have
I think Gronk's got 4, and his yards...
That's the only question is that can he get close to Gronk? Maybe.
Where's Kelsey? Where's Kelsey at yardage-wise? Where's Kelsey at...
Oh, he's got to be he's not number one.
No, hell no.
Gronk, he's probably what, in the top 3 or top 4 for yardage?
How many? Look it up. And I think Gronk's touchdowns
is 4-time champ. He's got 92 touchdowns. That might be regular season.
Gronk is nuts. How many more good years does Kelsey have left? I think like 3. I think he's probably got like... At least. It doesn't... No signs of slowing down, and how premature of it was for us to anoint Kyle Pitts over Travis Kelsey. What do you got, Jay?
Gronk has 22 more touchdowns than Travis Kelsey. Dude, what? Gronk has 92 touchdowns in 143 games.
He was
and Kelsey only has 69 in 144.
People,
but he's got more yards than Gronk does already. He's got over 1,000 more yards than Gronk does.
He's got more receiving yards than Gronk already.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but he's also played more, right?
Gronk was. I don't think people realize how Gronk was the tight end that in PPR formats he was like a top.
He was unfair.
He was unfair. When you talk about unfair advantage, Rob Gronkowski during his prime was unstoppable, man. Yeah. Unstoppable. So
just insane.
I think Kelsey's got another 3 years of prime football left. Question is, does Kelsey want to play 3 more years? He's what, 33? He's 33 years old. Does he want to play till 36? So. Okay.
Yeah, because he wants to pass Gates, right? That's the big thing is I think now at this point he probably just wants to pass Gates. And I mean, when you're playing with Patrick Mahomes, why would you retire, right? I mean, maybe he would. I don't know. But, you look at Gronk, he kind of extended his career to play with Brady, but he was always hurt, having back injuries. His first few years, prime Gronk, double-digit touchdowns in 5 or 6 years. But Kelsey, obviously come on later in his career, just phenomenal, best tight end probably of all time when it's all said and done. But yeah, it is definitely tough to beat Gronk's peak because of how good he was. But I think Kelsey could definitely get there when it's all said and done. But yeah, Gronk does have 4 championships to Kelsey's 2.
Now, the Eagles will be losing a critical part of that offense because their OC, Shane Steichen, is apparently the favorite to be the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, which, Jay, I'm pretty happy about that. I think this sort of signals the Colts are going to, who does this mean they're targeting in the draft? You got this OC that's used this dual threat, leader, intangible type quarterback.
Ooh, are you going where I think you're going?
Will Levis.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go straight to Rich. I thought you were going there.
I'm not going there. I don't think they're gonna trade up for Anthony Richardson. But would this give you a little more intrigue for Will Levis if he's selected there, or Bryce Young, or C.J. Stroud, with an offensive coordinator that seemingly catered the offense to the strengths of their player, which all OCs should do. You should not. People talking about Jalen Hurts as a system quarterback. Every quarterback is a system quarterback. And if you've got a talent like Jalen Hurts, you don't want him to play like Aaron Rodgers. You don't want him to play like Tom Brady. You want him to play like Jalen Hurts. What can you do around him to help him be the most, the best version of Jalen Hurts that he can be? What do the Colts do? Call your shot. What are they doing at the top of the draft? Call your shot. Who do they take?
I still think they want Stroud, in my opinion. So for people who aren't familiar with Shane Steichen, he was in Los Angeles for a long time. Mm-hmm. So he was actually the OC for Justin Herbert in 2020. So when Justin Herbert was a rookie, he was the OC there. Obviously, Justin Herbert broke the record for, I think it was, did he break the passing yards record for rookies? And he obviously broke the touchdown record for rookies.
I think so.
So again, he's coached Jalen Hurts. He coached up Justin Herbert a little bit in his rookie year. So I think you look at the similarities. Obviously, they're different quarterbacks, but Will Levis kind of in between potentially Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, cannon of an arm, can run a little bit. But I think that Stroud as well fits that mold. A guy who is hyper accurate, deliver the ball on time with mobility skills. Maybe not a runner like Jalen Hurts, but has the mobility to run some of these little plays where you're running out of the pocket, moving the pocket. Again, using that mobility to your advantage and making an offense more diverse and having more schemes. So I think that could be a fit. But yeah, I definitely like the hire. I think I love it. He's a guy that people don't really know. I was curious. I looked up his bio to see if he was in Indy actually with Sirianni at all, but obviously brought him into the Eagles, but he wasn't. So so he's not going back to Indy. But I think it's a good fit. I think it's a team that needs an offensive mind, and we were hearing Jeff Saturday for far too long. Whew. Thank God. Irsay finally said, okay, Chris Greer, make the decision. And
Chris Ballard?
Chris Ballard, yeah. Make the decision. Thank the heavens, because I was not willing for a Jeff Saturday offense. So that way you get a competent mind, hopefully can work with a young quarterback. I think Stroud or Levis would make a lot of sense. And like we've seen a lot, they're the kind of the number one trade-up option, it seems, for that number one spot to take that Chicago pick and take the number one overall pick.
Interesting little conversation going on here. Dynasty Barry talked about Kelsey. He's been and will be the Dynasty tight end one for the next 2 to 3 years. And then Trip Crown says, now you got to take your shots as well. Could be talking different in a year. I mean, I hear you, but I don't think anything is going to change between now and next year with Travis. Unless he retires. Do you notice every analyst asks Kelsey the same damn thing? Like, why are you never covered? Why can nobody cover you? And he's just like, dude, I got Patrick Mahomes. That first completion that he made to Kelsey, the deep dig over the middle where Kelsey was still covered, and Mahomes they show it from behind Mahomes, and it's energy. It's a dot, man. From a dynasty perspective, Jay, the running backs, there was only one running back that actually did anything. I want to talk about two guys. Kenneth Gainwell from the Eagles, because I don't think Philly's going to give Miles Sanders some massive deal. Maybe he takes a discount and they bring him back, but Gainwell seemingly playing more and more down the stretch. And every NFL mock draft that I look at, they got the Eagles taking Bijan at 10.
Bijan Robinson.
I don't think that's going to happen, Jay. I'm not buying it.
So you don't think the loss makes them think we need to make our offense unstoppable? Because that part of me is kind of on that train, and we saw a similar thought with the Bengals, right? We've seen some mocks where the Bengals take Bijan Robinson because it's like, okay, they couldn't quite get it done. They didn't have the running game. And it's like, bam, let's take Bijan Robinson and make us unstoppable, right? So I'm curious what
the running game wasn't a problem.
With the picks now.
It was they've got interior pressure they got to replace with Fletcher Cox and Ndamukong Suh. The defense, they couldn't stop them. If your team scores 30 plus points in an NFL game, Scott Connor talked about this on America's Game 2 weeks ago with Eric Vanek. You just need your defense to not allow the other team to score 30. If you could put up 30. Just don't leave the floodgates open to get 38 put up on your head. Like, offensively, that wasn't the issue. I think that and I'm with Alex. D-line is a spot that they probably need to solidify. Brandon Graham is getting a little long in the tooth. You know,
they
Fletcher
can't bring
Cox,
back Sue and all.
They can't bring back. I think they got to go interior D-line. So does this provide? Do you think there's any sort of upside in Kenneth Gainwell?
Potentially, yeah. I think the reality is that this is probably going to be a committee. I mean, we've seen it for years, and it works. That's the problem. To your point about the running game, though, that no one averaged over 3 yards a carry, at least the running backs, right? They didn't get a ton of carries, 7 and 7 for Sanders and Gainwell. Boston Scott only had 3. Hurts, obviously 15 for 70 yards, but he's doing different things on the offense. About the team as a whole, I think defensive line would make sense. I think we'll continue to have a rotation here. Maybe they're a team that brings in Kareem Hunt on a cheap deal to replace Miles Sanders if he's cheaper for some reason. But I think, Ray, the reality is people may not want to hear this. This has been the Eagles' season all year long. They play great in the first half. They have a phenomenal second quarter, and they blow it at the end of the game. Not to say they blew the game, but they take their foot off the gas. They don't score as many points in the second half. And again, they play a team like the Chiefs. Chiefs put up 24 in the second half. All of a sudden, they're losing the biggest game of their lives. Sounds like a cheap shot or whatever, but it's just, again, this is something that we saw all season from the Eagles. And yes, the competition was much different, but it wasn't surprising to see them get a first half lead to blow it in the end. And I think that's the real problem here is hopefully they can figure it is whatever they got to figure out, but they didn't run the ball well. They was all on Jalen Hurts. Yeah. And he played a great game, but they did not run the ball well. So if they did decide
want to run it though, I don't think they want to. Do you think there's a world in which Bijan wouldn't even be used to his full potential in Philly because they want to air it out? They want to throw the ball. I mean, Devontae Smith, man, 9 targets. A.J. Brown, 8 targets. Dallas Goedert, 7 targets. So first of all, the old narrative that Hurts couldn't support 3 weapons is false. We know he can. And it's scary to think how good Smith and A.J. Brown are going to be next year together. Smith led the team in receptions. A.J. Brown led the team in yards. Both of them are studs. They're probably a top 3 dynamic duo in the NFL behind Waddle and Hill and Chase and Higgins. I just wonder if you draft Bijan and it's like, we don't need him to carry the ball.
We wouldn't like it because he would still split carries, in my opinion. I think that's where you're right. But I don't think that means that they're not going to take him just because they won't use him as a bell cow because he's still a phenomenal talent. He still elevates that offense. And they believe could be the difference between them running for 3 yards a carry and them running for 5 yards a carry. It was all on Hurts, and maybe they did want to do that to some degree, but it doesn't help when Sanders isn't getting any yards. Gainwell can barely get any yards. He had a couple big runs, but there wasn't a lot of running room there. And when you're playing a team like the Chiefs, you want to keep the ball. And they had the ball a ton in the first half. They still had more than 11 minutes of possession with the ball. And if they kept running the ball effectively, I think that would have made it much more difficult for the Chiefs to come back. But they didn't really do that. They weren't successful in that way. So when you have the best offensive line in football, the only thing that's really stopping you from doing that is that running game, right? And that running back room. They put it on Hurts, I think on both sides of the Eagles and the Chiefs. And I think we saw it ultimately come down to what it was. And it's just harder to bleed that clock with that lead.
And I'm not saying that he wouldn't be effective there. I just, this does not seem like it doesn't feel like an offense that's just going to not throw the ball all over the field. I don't know. I mean, of course it would help. I mean, he's a fantastic running back prospect. I haven't graded out super high, but this is where I think fantasy expectations and NFL reality kind of blur the lines a little bit. I don't know because they don't target the running back out of the backfield often. And when they do, it's a dedicated guy. So if Bijan's going to replace Miles Sanders, they still have Kenneth Gainwell here. I don't know, man. I want to see Robinson go somewhere where I know they are going to, like, he's going to be the center point and the focal point of that offense. And I just don't think you pay Jalen Hurts $200 million guaranteed to turn around and hand the ball off a shit ton of times in the game. Now, Bijan's touches can be super efficient, and he doesn't need the ball 20 times because they're in the goal line. They've bombed it deep to Devontae Smith and set him up to score. But what does Philly do? What is the most unstoppable play in football right now? When they get in the QB sneak.
Till they get rid of it, right? You just know the NFL is going to do something about that.
Every time they get inside the one, they're just going to QB sneak it with Hurts. I don't know. On the other side of the ball, we can finally pour one out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire done for. I mean, inactive for the
Super Bowl champion though. Come on, him. He got a ring.
He got a ring.
Melvin Gordon got a ring.
Got a ring. No carries for either. Right. It's so sad to see the Melvin Gordon career arc. Had he not held out that year with Austin Eckler, he probably would have still been getting, not held out and not fumbled the ball like crazy in Denver. But it's just wild to see Melvin Gordon go from this type of value to the year he held out. And do you remember what Melvin Gordon said after that holdout? He said it was the worst mistake of my professional career. I would not do that again.
Wow.
He held out for more money, thought he deserved more. They gave Austin Eckler the workload, and Austin Eckler smashed. And Melvin Gordon came back later that season, but at that point, it was already Austin Eckler's job. So you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, man, and listen, Pacheco is fun to watch, man. That dude runs like his hair's on fire. He's got juice. He's big. He's physical. He's going to be a really good running back in the NFL for the next 2 years or 3 years because he just play. I've never seen a running back fall as hard as Isaiah Pacheco falls. He got lit up in the game by C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah.
Popped his ass in the middle of the hole, rocked him. He came back a play later, but Pacheco's fun, man. And I think Kansas City found a gem in the 7th rounder, and I don't think they're going to deviate from his plan next year. Maybe they let McKinnon walk. I don't know what they do with Clyde. But if you got you some Pacheco, you probably have a solid RB2 on your team, and you see him getting the end zone.
Upside.
Yeah, touchdown upside in a good offense. So I'd be pretty happy if you were able to grab him off of waivers early in the season, trade for him from the low. But I think he's a nice little running back. I just think that the way that he plays, very reminiscent of old Thomas Rawls, who ran hard for a couple of years and then that was it. And I'm not saying that he's Thomas Rawls' caliber of athlete or player, but he's got to learn to protect himself a little bit. I mean, you're on the sideline, just go out of bounds. You don't have to put your head down and try to run over everybody, Isaiah Pacheco. But really, what did we talk, Jay? I vividly remember us talking on this show months ago, earlier in the season. I said this Kansas City offense hasn't looked the same since they had a dominant rushing threat, right? Since Kareem. That doesn't mean the offense was bad, but when you give Patrick Mahomes a weapon that can matriculate yards down the field, out the backfield as a true runner, it just opens up everything for them. So they found a Kareem Hunt-esque replacement finally. So moving forward, you comfortable with Pacheco in Dynasty?
Yeah, I think you can be pretty comfortable. I think he's going to be good. I'm curious where he's drafted, right? Because that price could vary quite a lot for Pacheco. But to your point, beginning of that third quarter, they needed him. They needed him so badly because Mahomes, he obviously limped off at halftime, came back in. They needed to rely on that running game early to let the painkiller shot, do its thing out there. And then Mahomes was fine kind of after that first drive. They scored. Boom. But that was all Pacheco for a lot of that drive, getting it done. So I think that's where he was vital. And to your point, they really needed him in this game. I did not expect Pacheco to be a big factor.
They did.
But when Mahomes was struggling, when his ankle was really hurt in that first half, he wasn't able to do as much out there. And obviously Mahomes still ran for 44 yards on a high ankle sprain?
And that run was that run solidified it for me. I'll say this. This is what, if you have Pacheco, this is the game you needed going into the offseason. If you want to move him, his performance in the Super Bowl and throughout the playoffs, quite frankly, will make him a very attractive running back buy this offseason. Especially, what if Kansas City drafts an offensive lineman? They take Cyrus Torrance from Florida to solidify their offensive line. They take a guy like John Michael Schmitz out of Minnesota to solidify their offensive front. They take another offensive lineman. They don't take a running back to the 5th round. This would be the catalyst that you need to probably move Pacheco for multiple seconds. Maybe you can sucker somebody into a 24 first rounder at the right moment. But this is the best possible outcome that you could have hoped for outside of him going for like 150, which we know probably not going to happen. He scored a touchdown. He commanded a bulk of the carries. He had 76 rushing yards. He ran violent. He ran physical. He showed the burst, so could probably give you an opportunity to sell him moving in the offseason. So, Jay, that's it. We're at time today. I didn't really know what else I wanted to touch on receiver-wise. There's a lot of
do you want to touch the receivers? Because you got Juju expiring contract. Tony's coming back,
him real quick.
But again, what else do they have? I think Juju's going to stay because why would you want to leave Mahomes? But the question is for what price and how does that ultimately work out? But I mean, Juju was a big factor here. He caught more passes than Kelsey did, I think, when it was all said and done. So I'm glad that he was able to get involved because his whole up and down with the Chiefs has been tough. But Tony, I think, is the guy that valuing him this offseason is going to be crazy because he's still under contract. What they do with him next season, have a whole season under their belt. MVS, is he?
Dude, one target.
He's probably gone. He's probably
Get rid of. This is who they're going to. I mean, Sky Moore's back. Tony's back. Juju's back. Do they add DeAndre Hopkins? Do they draft a wide receiver?
True.
Like,
in the second round?
I would like for them. I want to see Mahomes with a true number 1 wide receiver. I would love DeAndre Hopkins for a season. Reality is the way this offense is built, man. Like, would Mahomes even hyper target one, or does he just spread it around? Is that just who he is, where any and everybody will get touches? If you're open, I'll find you.
I think it's the way it is now. Yeah. And I think that starts with Kelsey, right? It can't work if your number 1 target isn't in with that style. But the way it works now, man, like Noah Gray's making plays. It's just whoever's open needs their number called on any given play, they're going to make that play. But while that Andy Reid ran 3 plays that ended the Eagles season, 2 in the end zone and 1 on the final play that ultimately got the holding call. That won them the game.
Let's get out of here on that. On Wednesday, we will be doing a mock, or we'll look at a mock. We'll do a mock. We'll see what comes out. Hopefully, there'll be some post-Super Bowl, more information gathered mocks. But the holding call at the end of the game, everyone bitching about the refs call. Oh, they got cheated. They got sniped. Let's not put one play and make an entire game. The reality is it was a hold. I mean, he held him twice.
And Bradbury admitted it too.
It was
in
a
the
hold.
post-game presser.
You can talk about, oh, you can't make that call there, but yeah, you can, because he held. It was a hold. It's unfortunate. Yeah. It's unfortunate it happened when it happened, where it happened. And here's the thing. People are saying, oh, it was uncatchable. That has no bearing. By the letter of the law, whether it's catchable or uncatchable, you cannot hold the damn receiver. And I don't think Bradbury needed to do it. It was a hold, plain and simple. The refs didn't cheat. There was no cheating. They really didn't call any flags the entire game. Like, it was a very clean game. They were letting Lane Johnson start early on offense.
Yeah.
Set Hutt. Lane Johnson was already kick sliding back before the ball was even snapped. They allowed that to happen. But at that point in the juncture, again, unfortunate that play was called, Jay, but it was a hold. It was a hold.
It's no different than the roughing the passer or the unnecessary roughness in the game against Cincy. You could say, oh, you can't make that call, but he was clearly out of bounds and he hit him. Like this, you can't do that. And so it's unfortunate. But Bradbury, when the cornerback, who is the offender, came out and said, yeah, I held him. I hope they wouldn't call it. What is there left to say? Like, this is the dude that was in the play, made the play, and they called it against him. And he admitted it. So what else is there to complain about?
Did you watch what'd you think of the halftime show?
It was bad. I was not a fan. I know people can say she's pregnant. I get it. Good for her.
What did you want?
I didn't think it was very good.
You wanted more movement?
No, I thought she tried to get in more songs, which is fine. I liked all the lights. I told you I wanted to hear Run This Town. That was dope. All the lights was a surprise. I thought she would do
Bitch better
Wild
have
Thoughts.
my money. We had insight probably like 5 days before the game that was going to be the first song played, and then we tried to go bet it, and it was pulled off all the books. So I thought it was fine. She's got hits on hits. I just want to say this: the national anthem was one of the best renditions of a national anthem I'd heard. The singer who the
Chris
song,
Stapleton. Come on.
I mean, the same way you don't know rap artists, I don't know who that is. So I didn't know who he was. But what a rendition of a national anthem. That was fantastic, man. And if you bet the over on the length of the national anthem, you won, because it was a lengthy one. But man, the song, that was a good one. I was very impressed by the national anthem.
Very patriotic. Good job.
It was just good. It was just, I don't even know if it was patriotic. It was just fucking good. Like, the voice.
Yeah, Chris
was
Stapleton's he's a country singer, man. He's good.
Yeah, see, Leo said it, man. He said, bro, singing had me crying. I'm over there emotional. I stopped eating brisket and I'm listening to this. Like, I got to listen to some Stapleton this morning. So, overall, I thought we had a fantastic Super Bowl. We enjoyed it. We saw 2 great quarterbacks go at it. And I think both of these guys are going to be contenders in their respective divisions for a long time. Good luck having to deal with Philadelphia, the way that team is set up to succeed. 5 straight AFC titles at home for Patrick Mahomes. So we'll see what Burrow
Let's
can
see
do.
if we can make it 6.
We'll see what Allen can do. But it's been a hell of a ride for the 2023 season, and we appreciate everybody on this show who's rocking with us we've been doing this now almost a full year, the Wake Up Show on our own, Jay. So we're almost a year in. And as we move forward and transition to the offseason, it's just going to be mocks on mocks on mocks on mocks. We're going to do mock drafts. We're going to look at mock drafts. We're going to talk about rankings. We're going to adjust with new information. We're going to move players up. We're going to move players down. We're going to stay fluid and just adjust with information that's presented, because ultimately, we want to be right and we want to hit on players, but we want to provide entertaining and actionable content to help you position your dynasty rosters for short and long-term success. So that's what we will be doing every single show in the offseason. Rinse, dry, repeat, mocks on Monday, mocks on Wednesday. Jay, the trade show's coming back. We're actually going to record an episode of the trade show after this. And on the YouTube channel, I will be providing many film sessions on some of the prospects in this 2023 class. For the full in-depth 3-4 game breakdowns, you got to go to Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. Get you access to the database, the community, all that dope shit. But we will be ramping up the rookie content here on the channel. So from my heart, sincerely, to everybody in the chat, we had over 563 live comments this morning. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. This is why we do this. I promise you, Jay and I talk to each other enough. I don't do this to see him every freaking morning. We do this for y'all, so we appreciate the love, the support. Hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe to content, and stay tapped into everything that we're doing with Destination Devy. And of course, you know I can't get out of here without plugging some of the sponsors and partners, baby. Go get you an Epson, man. I'm telling you, I tweeted out pictures yesterday. Everybody was talking about Dallas Goedert didn't catch the ball. Well, if you had this bad boy, the Ultra LS800 EpiqVision projector, you would have seen that he had both feet down because I had a 120-inch screen and it was very easy to see. Jay, you got to get you one of these. There's a link in the description, or you can go to epson.com/wake up to check out this beauty of a short throw projector. Doesn't take up a lot of space. My boy Eugene from Off the Line saw it firsthand yesterday. It's more than worth it. Upgrade your sports viewing experience with Epson. Jay, we love y'all, man. We got to do a trade show. Appreciate y'all. We'll see you on Wednesday. We are out. Peace. Thank y'all for watching the Wake Up Show with myself and Jay Rich. If you finished the show and you're still hanging around and have yet to hit the thumbs up button or subscribe to the channel, do that right now and turn them alerts on while you're at it. If you want more exclusive access to me, Jay Rich, the entire Destination Devy team, patreon.com/allgas gives you that access. Make sure you subscribe to the newsletter for free 99 content. And if you want to get in on that action, use the promo code WAKEUP over on PrizePicks for a 100% deposit match up to $100 for first-time users, and a brand new show dropping on the Mojo YouTube channel. Myself and Jay Rich will be talking about these players and their value from a stock market perspective every single week this fall over on Mojo. It's all gas all the time. Love y'all. I'm out of this thing. Peace.